Hello, everybody. Welcome to this podcast. Today's subject is pretzels and stuff. So, we should all be familiar with pretzels, correct? Here we see a bajillion pretzels being sold by this man in Strasbourg, Germany, which is near the border of France, which is why you may see some French over here. I don't know if that is French, but I'm telling you it is, so there it is. Now, Germany has about this many words for pretzel, or at least northern Germany does. It didn't say anything about southern Germany. These words include Bretze, Bretzen, Bretzel, Bretzel, Bretzgen, Bretzga, Bretzet, Bretzel, Kringle, Cicerli, and Zutzeri. So, you can tell that these people are pretty big on pretzels, in case you couldn't tell that already. So, I've been introduced to the idea of stuffing a pretzel. Not with this kind of stuffing, of course, but with cheese and sweet stuff as the stuffing. Now, just take a look at this abomination, just filling your pretzels with, ugh. I mean, what even is this? So the person who introduced me to stuffing pretzels quickly, as soon as I challenged his claim, he sort of changed the subject, saying that he wanted to do a podcast similar to mine and Aiden's. Now, I have not heard back from him on his podcast endeavors, so I can only assume that this was a quick-ditch attempt in order to change the subject away from, the clearly wrong fact of stuffing pretzels. Now, there is actually a high school whose mascot is the pretzel. This would be Freeport, Illinois, who, are the pretzels. Here we see the marching pretzels take the field of Pretzel Stadium. So what's significant about Freeport High School, It has below average ACT scores and only graduated about 80% of its senior class. The last time it took a championship in, a significant sport like basketball was in 1950. I mean, come on. Unless you count bowling as a real sport, which, if you think bowling's a real sport, you probably think that stuffing pretzels is an okay thing to do. Neither of which are okay to do. So, let's take a closer look at Freeport High School. Why do they have below average athletics and ACT scores? Let's take a closer look at this pretzel logo. We see here some bulges formed on the pretzel. Now, one may think that, it's just the salt. They're trying to add 3D depth or something to it. However, does this look like salt to you? Salt is not a straight line of bleh. And second of all, there's space between the salt and the bulge. It's not just the salt causing the bulge. The pretzel is physically going up there. This one isn't even trying to hide that fact. There is no salt on this bulge, and yet it's still bulging. What gives? Well, I took a look at the climate data because I figured bulges like these have to be something coming out from the inside. One of the hottest days that I could find was in 2007, where the highest temperature was 90 degrees. 8th of July, 2007, 90 degree Fahrenheit weather. Sounds like a very fateful situation. Now, what's significant about 90 degree weather? It is the exact melting point of butter. That is correct. I am saying that this pretzel is stuffed with butter, and we all know that stuffing is not something you do, much like calling bowling a real sport. These people, these poor folks of Freeport High School, are being punished for claiming that stuffing this pretzel with butter was an okay thing to do. We see the evidence of them stuffing it with butter, and we see the results. Poor performance. But you may be saying, well, this is kind of crazy, it's just a pretzel on a sign at a football stadium at Freeport High School in Freeport, Illinois. What's significant about that? Well, to answer that, we're going to have to talk about Freeport and Freeport's antipode. That is the point on the exact opposite side of the Earth, as if you tunneled from Freeport through the center of the Earth to the other side. ends up being in the Indian Ocean. Now, here are the distances from both Freeport and from its antipode to Germany, which many would argue is the birthplace of the pretzel. If we take these two numbers and subtract them, we get 7,266. Well, what's significant about that? Well, it's divisible by 1038, a year in the 11th century. You may say again, what is significant about that? That seems kind of random. Well, the 11th century is exactly when German bakers, that's right, Germany again, started using the pretzel as the emblem of bakeries in Germany. Now, that's all well and good, 11th century, but it could have been any year in the 11th century. There's 100 of them. That's why it's called a century. So, what's significant about 1038 specifically? Well, the first king of Hungary, Saint Stephen I, died in 1038. Now, I'm sorry, did you hear that? The first king of what? First king of Hungary. Hungary for pretzels. Hungry for pretzels. Now, here is a map showing Hungary when it was still part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which of course does not exist anymore. Now let's take a closer look at the shape of the Hungarian territories. Now, you may have already seen it, but I would like to point out, shape of it is a pretzel. I don't exactly know how to express the significance of this statement, so I won't. I'll just leave that up to you, and assume that you're better than stuffing things in pretzels. That's about it. Thanks for watching.